Welcome back, Tubal Views. We're back at the Pachanga. Today, I believe, I hope, fingers crossed, I'll be able to finish the top side, the starboard side of this boat today. I've worked on the port side. It's done as far as I'm concerned. Good enough for the girls I date. Now it's time to work on the top side. And the top side is going to take a little bit of heavy cut, probably followed by some perfected EXAC. Then I'll clean it off with some isopropyl alcohol, window cleaner, something like that to get the oils and grease off of that surface, and I'll put Fire Glaze Plus on the boat. And I'll show you how that goes. By the way, guys, if you have not had a chance to use Fire Glaze Plus and you haven't seen what it does, it's super, super impressive. So I'll give you an example of one of the things that made it so that I, as a detailer and a boat owner, decided to use it. The owner of the company called us up 12, 13 years ago, and he's like, hey, I know you guys are doing a book, and I got a product. It's amazing. My buddy and I are chemical engineers, and we're both boaters. We designed this stuff because we got tired of paying detailers every 3 months down in Southern California to come wax the boat. I thought, okay, well, I'll try it. First couple times I tried it, I didn't have very much success. I was using it like a wax, and it didn't react the same. So John Peoples, the guy that invented this stuff, and I worked with each other for a couple years and developed kind of a neat little, I don't know, dialogue. I was able to call him up at any time, ask him questions, tell him where it worked, where it didn't work. He was able to tweak the formula, and right now I've got something where on my boat, when it sits in Lake Union, Seattle, for the entire year, about the bottom 4 inches gets covered with about a 1/4 inch scum line, orange, green, black algae. My boat, when I was last down at it, I took my finger and literally just wiped it off. Whoop, that was it. Usually, and most detailers will tell you this, you got to scrub it with a brush. It's a pain in the butt. And to see it just slide off like that, I thought, you know what? I'm done. This is my go-to polish. It does, however, take going a little harder on a boat. It's kind of like applying a ceramic coating. You don't want to do it unless you've gotten down to fresh gel coat. So, speaking of fresh gel coat, let's get into that. I'm going to stop talking for just a brief moment. I'm going to get up on top of this boat. We're going to grab some heavy cut, some wool pads, and we're going to grind, grind, grind. As soon as that's done, we'll wash, clean, inspect. If we like it, then I'm going to go ahead and show you how I apply the Restructure Marine Polish, the Fire Glaze Plus. Moving down the boat, I've taped it all off. I've taken all the snaps off. We've got some Sea Ray burned into the side of the boat. That's all going to have to get blended. I have to do the same thing up here where the Sea Ray emblem was. We got our vents opened up so I can get a little bit more into the center of where they were and definitely hit around the edges. One last thing I'd like to talk about before I run out of things and reasons to procrastinate working on a boat: snap tools. In the wintertime, canvas covers can get really tight, kind of like drums, and you can't always with your thumb get the snap to move very much. With a snap tool, you can put a lot of leverage on it, and it goes right over the snap, and you're done. It also is great for taking snaps off of a boat if it's really tight. This one's made by a company called Snap Topper, Snap-Topper. This is another one, a little bit smaller, same basic premise. Slips over the snap, and then you can use it as a handle. Anyway, if you do find these, I highly suggest adding a floating keychain to them, because either of them, even though they're made for marine industry, have any chance of floating, which, brilliant. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, well, you don't get any fancy music. It's basically just more of me. Apologies. First thing I'm going to do is replace some of the tape that came off last time I was compounding this. So just adding some more tape to the stainless steel fittings on this lifeline and the forward cleat, just to make sure that any of the compound that might touch the metal doesn't have a bad reaction and transfer some of that black oxidized compound back into the gel coat. Anyway, at a certain point, I'm probably going to pick up a buffer, and there I go. And probably just for fun, I'll get the other side of the boat dirty by spurring it out. Yep, that's perfect. Don't worry about it. Trust me, I've been doing this for a really long time, and that has never caused a problem. In fact, when it does get dusty, I usually pick up my buffer, run at full speed, a couple inches off the ground, and it tends to blow off a lot of that dust. All right, so let's get into this. Heavy cut by 3M wool pad. It's double-sided. I'm hitting my edges first and just kind of going back and forth right now, kind of along the line where the sun has beaten the bottom of the cover, where it's met the snaps. I'm just trying to blend those two sections together, and then obviously really focusing on the little lines in the foredeck there, little accent pieces. Anyway, this is going at about 16 times normal speed. No, 4 times normal speed. And it's only because you guys have the last couple of videos on this particular boat where you can look at if you want to see the compounding in the process. But if you want to, you can fast forward a little bit. I'm going to do the bow area in real time, so you can at least see it, hear it. I wish you could smell it, but honestly, you're not missing much. Anyway, anytime you have details with heavy cut, I basically just try to make sure that the shine is uniform all the way across. I'm not going for perfection, although I did mix up a little bit different special sauce for today as opposed to the last time I was on the top. Last time it had a little bit less heavy cut and a little bit more finesse. Sorry, perfect it. See guys, I still do it. Old school. Anyway, this time it's got about 2/3 heavy cut and the other third is perfected EXAC. And I seem to have kind of nailed it on that for this boat and for this boat only. Don't think to yourself, oh, I'm going to mix that up and it's going to work for my boat. Probably won't, I'll be honest. I've got a lot of bottles that are half full and half empty just because I've mixed them up for certain boats, and they work great for those. In fact, that's why this one here says special mix. One day on a Cobalt, literally like 30 seconds, and it was like all the oxidation came out. It's crazy. So we wrote special mix on it. It hasn't really done anything for all but one other boat all last year. So to give you an idea, every boat's different. All gel coat's different. 10 Pachangas owned by 10 different people in 10 different parts of the country. The gel coat's been absorbing the life of 10 different owners. That difference in maintenance, that difference in protection, the level of sunshine, the dirt in the air, the acid rain, all of that changes. So if you've ever talked to a gel coat repair guy, they'll tell you, or gal, sorry, not, it's 2022, got to think ahead. They'll tell you, you can't just call up the factory and be like, yeah, I want gel coat from this year for this boat, and when you get it, it's perfect. It never is. Same thing with compound. I like the stuff out of the bottle. When I get a tricky boat, I try to adapt a little bit. So getting back to what we're looking at, besides my semi-butt crack, is the process. Most of it's the same as it is if it's big flat section. It's crisscross patterns, followed by a little smoothing out. And again, this is mostly heavy cut, so I'm not looking for a perfection in the shine. I'm going for an overall general uniformity in the gloss. I am trying to reduce and remove any swirls that I do see, but I'm not literally going for the best job I can get. I'm just going for, I guess, what the owner would think was a good job. And then the next step with the Perfected EX, that's going to be where I try to put the shine on. I'd like to stop talking, but it seems so empty just watching this without music. I can't do it. Whether I could or not, I just don't want to. You don't want me to. Okay, so I'm pretty much past what I would call the detailed section of this foredeck. From here on out, it's pretty basic, pretty simple. It's 2 flat sections and 2 edges with a couple little metal pieces in the middle. And this will go by pretty quick. Again, sorry for the butt crack. What can I say? I need a longer shirt. Or, I guess, taller pants. Either way. Guys, if you are detailing and you notice that little spot on my back, if you're out in the sun for very long and you think you're covered up, trust me, you'll get that little tramp stamp on your back too. A little sunburn right there. And you'll wonder how you got it. It's because you were lazy or the wind blew your shirt up. Just little things you might want to know as a detailer. they come up. It's interesting. All right, see, there I am blowing some of the dust away with the high-speed wind created by the buffer. It's kind of a neat little trick. Finishing up that little edge, there's one little edge on the outside of that above the tape, and just kind of blending all that in. If you're wondering why I have 3 microfiber towels on my belt loop, the one on the left side is my dirtiest microfiber towel. That's the one I use mostly for when I just don't care if it picks up dirt and grease and stuff like that. The one on my right is the second least dirty, and that's the one I would use to maybe clean up compound and smooth up some gunk that I left behind. And the one in the very back, that's the one I'll use when I'm done cleaning this off with the alcohol or applying the Restructure Marine Fire Glaze Plus. So in my head, I try to keep track of my towels and my rags and which one's which and why they're there, and there's a reason. Everything has a place. It seems like total chaos, but it's really not. Okay, and you can't see it because it's too small, but I think it says "fuck Putin." Yeah. And I left it there in case you guys could read it. Or maybe he's watching it because he's got a boat. So, yeah, all that crap in Ukraine, man. God bless those people. Glory to Ukraine. I've never seen so many Americans in another country. Those guys represent pretty much everything we should stand for. Anyway, getting back to boats. Sorry. I don't usually get political. So fixing an edge and just kind of putting that crisscross pattern in this little section that I'm working on, and then doing the opposite cut, and then I'll probably start to flatten out as soon as this edge is taken care of. There we go, flattening out. I mean, you guys probably could have predicted that. Anyone who's watched this for any length of time could probably call it that one. All right, so I think this is about the end of the super fast forward buffing. After this, it's going to be just the part from like warming the foot, the right foot, from there back. It's going to be normal speed, I guess. Yeah, normal speed. I'm going to stop talking. Seriously, this is gross. Oh, if you're wondering what that was, there was some gunked up compound that had kind of built up right there. So yeah, I just tried to wipe it off with my foot. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. For the record, I know this is boring. I wish it was cooler. I wish it was faster. I also wished that when people said it's copyright-free music and you can use it on YouTube and you get the use of it for like a year, and then they decide to change the status of it, and all of a sudden you get told that you got copyright infringements on your... So no music for you, not for a little while. I'm going to figure something else out. Anyway, I'm almost to the front here. This is going to be the place, I think, where I'm going to try to do this normal speed, and that way you guys will be able to see what's going on, listen to what's being said by the buffer, and maybe I'm talking, I don't recall, but you'll at least get to experience that. So I should mark the time and probably put it in the description, so if anyone was watching this, they would know You don't have to watch this all. Just fast forward to this part. Okay, I might do that. You guys like an update? You don't have to say yes. I'll just give you an update. And yeah, I was walking all over the paint. Whatever. Anyway, here's what we got. And I got a little bit more to go right up here in the bow. So I figured I'd do this from, you know, basically eye level. So I'll set the camera up so you can see this. I'll do it real time. It's not going to be very much, but yeah, there you go. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is hit the starboard side, top side with a little bit of Perfected EXAC. If this is their first time looking at the video, you're going to see a Perfected bottle. I have Perfected EXAC by the gallon, so I just recycle the old bottles. But it is indeed Perfected EXAC. I'll be using a soft foam pad on a random orbital polisher. My goal is to remove some of the swirls, if there are any, and to balance this side with this side. So, hang tight, I'll be right back, get set up, and I'll speed this up a little bit. There's not much to it. I'm basically just going through the motions, and I'll probably talk about it when it's going fast forward or whatever. So, one moment, please. Oh, God. Probably want me to talk again. Actually, you probably don't. I understand. Anyway, so I'm using a Porter Cable random orbital dual action polisher and a Surehold waxing or polishing soft Velcro backed pad. I don't know if there's a better pad. There probably are. I just really like this system and this combo, and I've been using it for years, so it's become kind of familiar to me, and it's what I teach. And so I'm just using it. Anyway, it's easy, it's comfortable, and it generally does the job really well. So you're just kind of using the Perfected, kind of like you were using the heavy cut, except for with the random orbital, you're not really trying to cut very hard or very aggressively. All you're trying to do is take the little cuts that were left behind by the heavy cut, the little ridges and the gouges in the surface, and you're trying to minimize their peaks. Okay? So with a random orbital dual action, you can get a chance to work the compound for a really long time, and you can see through the stuff on the surface because it's fairly even and uniform. You can start to see the finish and the uniformity before you're finished working the compound all the way in. So I'll do a section, I'll wipe it off, see if I like it. If I do, cool, I'll move on. You just keep doing that. It's not too difficult. It's not too physically challenging. Again, so sorry about the butt crack. Great. Now it's all I can think about. Shoot. Now it's all you can think about. I'm sorry. I should have cropped this out or something. I don't know. I wasn't even thinking. Sorry about that. Anyway, moving along, same old, a little bit more Perfected, a little bit more random orbital, a little bit more rubbing it in, making sure that it's doing its thing, checking the surface through the sheen of the product, and if I like it, wipe it down. If I still like it, move on. Oh God, it's even closer. Worse than that, I'm basically covering everything that you should be looking at with it. I feel like this one might get flagged as not appropriate for children. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, good. Now I think I'm in a position where I really can't show you butt crack. So here at least it's a little bit closer, but you'll get a sense of what I'm doing. Again, this is 4 times normal speed. My goal with this is to blend the two sides together whenever possible, and just to take down all the sharp edges on the surface from the heavy cut. If I can do that, what I'll start to see is a decent uniform shine, and under these lights I get kind of a light blue hue to the reflection. That usually tells me that it's basically time for the compound to be wiped off. It's not cutting anymore, it's just basically the oils left behind. Once I see that, then I start wiping things off. Sometimes with the Perfected and even the heavy cut, you'll see me with a random orbital polisher go very, very slow. I find sometimes with a little bit of pressure and the right consistency of the compound, going slow allows that stuff to do exactly what it's supposed to do and polish things. Now, with heavy cut, only so much on paint, not so much a gel coat surface. I've never really ever entertain the idea of taking a DA to get rid of oxidation out of a boat. When there's a rotary there, I mean, a rotary is a shotgun, and a DA is a Red Ryder BB gun. That's the best analogy I can give you. Now this basically is just me going over the top of the boat, making sure I've gotten all the large amounts of compound off the surface. This isn't what I would call cleaning. This is like the first stage of cleaning. What I'm going to do next is spray down the section of the boat that I've been working on with the isopropyl alcohol, 70%. And I don't like when the alcohol and the gunked up compound on the surface mix. It makes cleaning a little bit more difficult. So I just alleviate that by getting rid of all the stuff that would normally cause the alcohol to smear or leave streaky kind of white marks behind. By removing the compound before that, as much as I can with a microfiber rag, I just alleviate some of that drama and some of that pressure. So this was a section after I wiped all this off that I thought needed a little bit more touch. So I gave it a little more touch. And another quick wipe down just to get everything. And next I'll go grab the alcohol and a clean, fluffy towel. And that's what I'll use to take all the lubricants and oils and stuff that the compound left behind. There it is. There's the alcohol getting sprayed on. Trying to get all the dust out, trying to get all the goo off. Just make it look like gel coat. And gel coat with nothing on it would be perfect if you wanted to apply a protectant, a sealant, a wax, whatever. Even a ceramic coating if that's what you wanted, although doing it on a boat this age would be kind of foolish. After 5 years, gel coat keeps expanding to the point where I don't know of any ceramic coating that can keep up with it. So in that case, I would again suggest Fire Glaze Plus because, well, it's not a ceramic, so it works. Anyway, this is the last little step after this. I'm kind of going to look the boat over, make sure I like everything. And if I do,
All right, so now it's time for the Fire Glaze Plus. I'm gonna grab a soft, clean foam pad, and I'm gonna start putting this on just like we did the other day. Sit back, relax, and I'll be right back.
Okay, Fire Glaze Plus, soft, clean foam pad, DA, low setting. Basically, the premise of this is that picture it not as a liquid. Picture it as a ton of little teeny microscopic little teeny ball bearings. And your job is to force them into a nice level layer, filling all the pores and then just kind of arranging them all so they touch each other on the surface. When I'm putting this on, it goes on really light and I just keep spreading it around till I almost can't see it. At almost can't see it, I stop. But I keep spreading it around. In my head, I'm just thinking the more I spread it, the more I'm guaranteeing that I'm filling those pores, that I'm covering the surface, that I'm making sure that this wax, this polish is going to last. So you might think this is taking a long time for a wax. Yeah, it is. But imagine if this actually does what it says it does, 36 months of protection. If you do nothing, you should be able to get at least, I'm guessing, a solid year. Probably 2. But if you clean your boat, if you maintain it, you could get 3-5 years. I've seen it, guys, I've seen it. I got videos about it. You can check it out. Anyway, one of the things that I would like to point out now is that this is not 4 times as fast. This is 2 times as fast. Otherwise, it would be 11 minutes of you just staring at this idiot massaging the top of a boat. I left the audio in so that you could hear the
speed of the buffer and the fact that I'm not really forcing it to do anything. Everything's super light. I'm not putting my hand directly on top of the buffer. I'm not trying to control it or fix anything. Everything's already been fixed. Everything's been cleaned. All I'm doing is trying to make sure that the environment, the sun, your friend with the sand on the bottom of his shoes, or way too much suntan oil when he's trying to climb on the boat, doesn't ruin this surface. Now is also a great time to take off all the masking tape that I'm not going to need anymore. All that's left really on this top side is to reapply the snaps, and remember, little white 5200 in the snaps, and then screw them down and then leave them for a little bit. Don't put the tarp on for about, I don't know, 4 hours. Let that stuff cure, and then you're good to go. Anyway, yeah, time to pull off the tape, time to get working on this red stuff, yeah? Okay, my mistake. I thought that would be a little bit more entertaining to watch. It's clearly not. I have an idea. A better way to think of the way that I'm applying Fire Glaze Plus, it's not so much a coating as it's a surface treatment. Think of it that way, as if it was some sort of a lotion that you had to rub into your skin or something like that. That's basically what my thought process is while I'm applying it. You really want to try to just, I don't know, jam it in seems like the inappropriate term. Work it into the surface. On a car, on a paint, you basically put a drop on your DA and spread it around until you don't see it, and then you move on to the next section. It's amazing on a car. It's also amazing on a boat, not going to lie. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. I might actually speed this up a little bit more. This is so boring that, I mean, even for a guy who enjoys watching detailing videos, this is killing me. This is not fun at all. I'm sorry you guys are watching this. I only record it because I started the boat, and I think, yeah, maybe people want to see the end of it. And so here I go.
Now it's time to turn this into this. So if you remember yesterday or the last time we were touching this, used a coarse foam pad, medium coarseness foam pad, and some heavy cut. And then I followed that up with a soft foam pad and some perfected EXAC. That's exactly what we're going to do here. I'll probably put it in fast forward. If you want to see the original, you can go back to part 3 and you'll see it. So I'm going to speed up things a little bit and just kind of rip through this. Hope you don't mind.
Oh yeah, got to talk here. Okay, so here's the heavy cut, and it's a little bit more heavy cut than last time. So I'm going to get a little bit more, I don't know, long in the tooth when I'm working with this. I'm going to give it a little bit more time to work itself down to nothing, and that will result, or it did result, in removing more and more of the scratches and leaving a much more uniform finish. So again, the amount of pressure I'm putting on this is basically what you would use to maybe hold a basketball underwater. And I'm just going really slow. This is sped up about 4 times as fast to give you an idea of how slow I'm actually going. When I'm moving the buffer around on the paint, I'm really trying to allow that compound to work itself down to nothing. And then I can move on to the perfected EXAC and do the exact same thing there. But here I'll just probably slide down one more section, finish that up, and then do the perfected. Process is the same for this section. Put a little bit on, grind away with the polisher, spread it out. I usually start off at the number 1 setting with the compound, and then as soon as I've got it fairly uniform on the surface, I might kick it up to, out of 10 possible settings, I usually kick it up to about 4 or 5, just enough to get the pad to spin while under pressure. If it's not spinning, it's really not working. You kind of need it to make those little wiggly circles. Otherwise, it's about 1/3 as efficient as it would be if it was spinning a little bit faster. Some guys like to go up to like 5, 6. And actually, yeah, I don't think this particular buffer goes up to 10. It goes up to 6. So I'll go somewhere between 4 and 5 when I'm actually compounding and trying to get something out of the surface. Okay, cleaning up the residue of the heavy cut, and now I'm going to grab a soft foam pad and some perfected EXAC. And I'm going to go through the exact same motions. I'm going to start off slow, setting number 1 just to spread it out, nice and even, nice and uniform, hit my edges, and then I might kick it up to about 4 or 5. A little even pressure, nice strokes back and forth, up and down, doesn't really matter. You're seeing the entire thing, so if it doesn't look right, hit it again. That's basically what I do. I just go through it and I watch behind the buffer to see what I had just done, and that's it. I keep watching it until I like what I see. When I like what I see, I can stop. By the way, while this is kind of a slow process, I suppose the thing that goes in my head is you only have to do it once if you can maintain it. So spend the time, go slow. It's worth it. It really is. If you half-ass it, if you cut corners, it's going to cost you. You're just going to have to do it again in 6 months. Everybody always complains or comments about my work like, oh, you're probably going to have to redo that in a month or 2 or 6. And no, do it right and it lasts. If you do it wrong, yeah, 6 months is, asking the moon. But I generally try to do the things that make sure that this lasts. And so while I'm doing this, I take my time. I let the compound work. I don't try to rush anything. The physical force that I'm exerting right now throughout this process is next to nothing. I mean, you'd sweat more drinking a cup of coffee.
All right, let's see what we got. You saw that I came over a little bit here. I'm just going to blend these two together. So remember, this is heavy cut, one pass, perfected EXAC, one pass. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Now, I'm going to finish the rest of this, but I'm going to do it in like a time-lapse fashion, just not to bore you, until I get to right about here where I left the tape on. From that point on, we've got some emblem ghosting to clear out. We've also got the rest of the paint on this surface here. So I'll get back into this and try to make it look a little bit more like this. Highly zoomed in, but you can see the individual lights in that panel light above. Up there. So I'm okay with this. Not too bad. Now I'll show you something really neat. You see the shine, you see the gloss. If I get back a little bit, maybe you can see some of the discoloration in the paint. You can see some, not the reflection lines that go up and down, back and forth. Here, I'll move up and down, you can probably see it better. Those are underneath the clear coat. Called the owner to confirm. He had me call the guy that did the work. It's clear coat. So I can't get that out. Not without burning through the clear coat, which I don't necessarily want to do. Now, here's the fun thing. I only asked the customer if it was clear coat. I didn't tell him what I was seeing. So now I have kind of a conundrum. I have to either assume that maybe he won't see what I'm seeing in the paint and he'll just think that this looks great. If that's the case, that's probably what I'll do. I'll bite my tongue and not say anything, because if I say anything, it's going to throw the guy who painted this boat completely under the bus. Meaning he'll probably have to spend a couple $1,000s stripping this thing down, repainting it, and re-clearing it. So in a small town like this, you choose your battles, okay? In a small community like a marina, if you're in a place where you could badmouth another vendor, maybe don't. Maybe just contact the vendor and say, hey, I saw this. Next time I see it, I'm going to give you a call and give you a chance to clean it up before I mess with it. But I'm not about to throw the guy completely in the gutter. But it is rather aggravating, and if you saw my face a couple times while I was compounding this, the reason I made kind of a quizzical look was it wasn't coming out the way I wanted. And again, I'll try to show this to you. Actually, you can see it really good. Right here, all these lines that go back and forth. Someone has sanded this, but they painted right over it. Which I'm just going to say, damn, not cool. Anyway, I'll continue on. When I get down to this side, I'll pause and we'll talk.
Oh, that's right. I said I would talk. Let's see. Yeah, glory to Ukraine. Again, God bless those people. I really hope that they, I really hope they whoop ass on the Russians. Not to say that I don't like Russians. I love the Russian people. In fact, for 30 years, I've thought it was really cool that the Cold War was over and now you can just go visit them and have a good time and laugh about, you know, ducking and covering. But we'll get back again. I have hope. I have faith. Somehow, some way, we'll get through this. And by we, they, and by they, they're going to inspire everybody, I hope, to rally around an idea that, you know what, people just want to be free. And democracy is kind of a cool thing when it works. You're right. I said I was done with politics. Moving along. Okay, so it's the same thing I did before. It's just this time we're using a little bit different technique, going up and down a little bit more. I think I'm just kind of having fun at this point. It's nice long throws back and forth. I've got great light. You can't hear it, but there's really cool, funky music going in the background. The paint's reacting well to the compound mix that I put together, so I'm feeling good. And I'm almost done with this boat, and it's only taken like 6 days. 4 actual days, 2 days of me just staring at it and looking at it and not doing anything. I'm not going to lie. A couple of days I only put maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, and then a couple of days I only put 3 or 4 hours into it. Today, maybe 4 total, but realistically, I was having a good time. So because I'm not in any rush, my schedule hasn't really started stacking up. This is kind of a good project boat for me. Gets my muscles moving again, gets my eyes moving again, gets me thinking about what it is I do and why I do the things I do. And it reminds me, there's people out there, you guys in particular, who are interested in this. And if there's anything that you can learn from watching me kind of break all the rules, cool. I'm all for it. If I find something that you really like, let me know. Or if you have a question or you want me to try something else, let me know. Put it in the comments. As far as other products go, just for the time being, give me a moment to catch my breath, get my bearings. I've got some stuff going on right now between myself and 3M. We're talking about maybe being able to help each other, and I'm really excited about that. So before I get into other products, let me work with some more of the products that I already like and a company that I like, and let's see what they and I can maybe get going. But if you have any questions, please let me know. At the time, I wasn't aware that you couldn't read that, but it says all the underneath the cleat. I know, what's with me today? Today's a real political day. There's a reason for it, but okay. Boats. Again, wherever the cleat is, I know that the owner has eventually tied stuff up there. They see it, they're personal with it. I mean, they're right there. So it gets scratched up, it gets kind of knackered up. And if you can kind of clean that up and make it so that when the owner touches it again, it looks really clean. If nothing else, they might just at that point go, wow, those detailers did a really good job. They even got all the scratches out. Oddly enough, I could get every scratch out of this boat except for like one at the cleat, and that's usually the first thing they'd see. And if that's the first thing they see, it's the first thing that they think about. So I try to clean up all the stuff that they're familiar with looking bad, and if those areas look good, well, then they're kind of taken back a bit for a spell. I usually tell people you can make the boat look 99.9% perfect, but if you screw up with a fingerprint or a handprint on the wrong spot and it's the very first thing the boat owner sees, that's it. It taints their entire image of the rest of the job that you did. So I try to make it so they see my mistakes as like dead last. Like as I'm leaving with their check, that's when I want them to notice a mistake. But even then, please give me a call. I'll come back. I'll tidy it up. We'll fix it. Okay, time for some Perfected EXAC and a soft foam pad. Again, just same old, spread it out nice and slow. Speed it up a little bit and try to break down those peaks off of the cuts that the heavy cut put in onto the surface. And once that's done, smooth it out, try to just feather everything down and literally just work the material till it's almost gone. And once that's done, I'll grab the Fire Glaze Plus by Restructure Marine and apply that after hitting the whole red section that we just compounded with alcohol, making sure that it looks good. Then we'll do the Restructure Marine. That's how that goes. Always clean, inspect, then protect. I was wrong earlier. I thought that was boring. No, that last little, oh my God, that was... Anyway, sorry. So now a little bit of rubbing alcohol on the whole thing, followed by Fire Glaze Plus. Here we go.
Okay, this seems to be the thing. I do stuff, then I let you see it. So this is before the Fire Glaze Plus. This is just after Heavy Cut Perfected EXAC foam pads. One's a little bit rough, one's a little bit soft. So the very next step is to take some isopropyl alcohol, which I have in my hand. Not that you can see it, but you gotta trust me, it's here. And I'm going to go wash off all the oils and residue from this surface, and then I'll apply the Restructure Marine or the Fire Glaze Plus. So it's 70% isopropyl alcohol. It doesn't take that long. We'll speed this process up. I'll be right back.
So just spray enough alcohol to get the surface wet, and then make sure you have a nice, clean, plush towel to absorb all the oil and take off all the alcohol. And that's about it. And then take a look. Make sure to take a good hard look, because once you put this stuff on, or your ceramic coating or whatever your protection wax sealant that you're going to put on there, it's got to be covering a pretty nice looking finish, and that's what you want. So here we go. It's Fire Glaze Plus. It's a soft pad. It's a random orbital polisher. It's a dude who's done this for way too long and who misses his beer. Oh, I should just run to the store now. Oh, ice cold. I guess that's the problem. It's so cold out, and I've been so cold while I've been outside that I come in and I really don't want to drink anything cold. At this point, I'm thinking like maybe a room temperature whiskey sounds decent. I don't know. Anyway, it's boat. So you just do a section and then move on, and then you repeat, and then you do a section and then you move on, and then you repeat. That's all it is. That's all any of this is. If you've watched 20 minutes of any of my videos, you've seen the entire hour. It's just you do the process in different ways depending on the section that you're working on, or the type of boat, or the contour, or if you have to lean over a dock or whatever. It's all the same stuff. There's a surface. I guarantee it has edges. So I show you how to attack those. Edges first, then the middle. Start slow, get aggressive, finish out smooth and gentle. In this particular case, we're smoothing out with the microfiber rag, because I basically take the Fire Glaze Plus and I work it in until it's basically gone. Not completely gone, basically gone. I could almost barely see it on the surface. So that's what you see me wiping off with the microfiber rags. And now you're really close. So you can see when I first start spreading this out, it looks kind of creamy on the surface. And as I start working it in, it starts to dissolve. Actually, it doesn't dissolve. It gets absorbed and starts to find its little niche in all the nooks and crannies on the surface of this boat. And if you saw in my last video at 835, 840, somewhere around there, I'm showing you the pores that are in gel coat. Now, paint doesn't necessarily have the same deep pores as gel coat does, but it does have pores. And this polish fills those pores, but it still allows the paint to breathe, which is really kind of cool.
Okay, all done. Fire Glaze Plus on the top, Fire Glaze Plus on the port side hull, flagship over here, but we're done. Well, okay, we're not quite done. I've got a little ways to go before I can consider myself done. Just behind this cleat, you'll see an arrow in the compound residue pointing to the left, to the rear of the boat. That's in case anybody shows up here and I'm not here. I don't have to tell them, hey, just This is the line, go to the left. So tomorrow, yeah, I know, this boat's taking forever. Baby steps, I'm old. Anyway, tomorrow I'll get in to this. We'll be pulling out the Sea Ray emblems. You can see them where they used to be, about there. So we'll be blending this that was shiny because it was under a cover with this, which is not because the cover didn't extend that far, and we'll be blending in the Sea Ray. But we've still got to deal with this pinstripe underneath, and we've got one more emblem to grind away at here, and we'll be working on the paint all the way back to the stern. Now, once we get back here, it's a whole jumble of garbage. This is all dry and nasty, and that's going to be awful and disgusting, but, you know, that's what we do. So, tomorrow, probably get into this a little bit more. I'm glad you guys stayed with me. Thanks so much.
Seriously, thanks for watching. It's almost an hour long. Jeez. I appreciate your time. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section. Guys, as always, the standard, well, it's the standard.